Welcome, and it has been a big week in gaming. I'm integot, here's Swinny for episode 8 on Sunday the 6th of September 2020, Father's Day for Australia. This week's show, we'll be discussing the magnificent, overdue Mario 35th Anniversary Direct, Gods and Monsters, what a great rebrand, and life after Rocket League, and Rocket Pass. Was it ever worth it? Swinny, how was your week?
Life after Rocket League. I didn't get the impression that you're done with Rocket League in general. So.
Yeah, it feels like that because Rocket Pass is everything about Rocket League at the moment. That's the only way they're going to make money.
Yeah, well, I look forward to that special segment. But for me this week, I've been I played through a game that I didn't know much about called Windscape. So it's this like little indie, I guess it would have been like a Steam Early Access game originally, and spent my whole time playing, not my whole time, but I've spent a while playing through that and realised that game is absolute dog shit.
I was like, wow, I've never heard of this game. You've always got these gems, you're the indie man, you play through so many games, I'm like, might have to check this out, and you're like, it's dog shit.
Nah. Well, this game, it was classified as an RPG, and we talked about how I love my RPG achievements, and I ended up completing it and then submitting a disagreement with your achievements.
Oh, really?
And detailing why it shouldn't be classified as an RPG, even though I'd already completed it. So it's not like I want to save myself the hassle. I'm like, I want to save other people pain of going through this just to get it on there, I guess, on that leaderboard. But it's... when you've got a game that's all, you have to craft stuff and you have like inventory potions and things like that, and then you get to the last boss, and there's like an area before the last boss, and it auto saves and you cannot leave. So if you've got no healing items at that point in the game, you're screwed for the entire game.
So wait, you can't even go back to an earlier save or anything?
No.
What? So games like that, they should just be deleted from the stores. It should be like a minimum requirement.
I couldn't believe it. The worst part is that you're in this area and it's got a big entryway and a prompt to exit to the previous area. But when you press it, the game like fades out and fades back in, and you're in the same area again.
What?
So you were meant to be able to leave, but the game is so buggy that it just doesn't let you leave. So if you don't have any health items, and they don't really flag it's going to be the last boss, it's not like, how a lot of games will be like telegraph.
Yeah, the obvious save spot just before.
No,
long corridor.
You just walk into like a tree, and then I'm about to face the last boss.
You walk into a tree.
If you didn't have that stuff, you'd be screwed. You'd have to be screwed. It's a giant tree. When I say walk into a tree, it's like a giant opening in a tree.
Oh, okay.
But I'm like, man, like, I would be so pissed if I didn't have those like health items already.
That to me, that's broken.
That game at all costs.
Like that's something that you'd see in the 90s and the 80s with games, not like modern games. How old is this game?
Let me have a look. Well, I believe it was an early access game on Steam, because I remember looking up, because the last boss was actually really tough, and I'm like, okay, let's look up how to actually beat this boss. And people like last boss, and it was like the first boss of the whole game. So obviously it was an early access where people had called the first boss the last boss. It came out officially, I guess, the full release on Xbox at least in March last year. But
okay.
The funny thing about this game, I mentioned that, I've put in disagreement about it being called an RPG, and hey, I've actually checked it. They've actually accepted my disagreement. So there you go. One win for the Swin.
That's one win for the Swin. That's how much clout you have on True Achievements. Just like, he's calling a game not an RPG. No one knows the definition of an RPG, but we'll take his word for it.
But it's basically like almost like a Zelda clone with some very light RPG elements. But it's almost like they built the game and you have a couple of side quests at the beginning, and then the whole game gets linear after that, and it's like they forgot to put the RPG in. It's like they built it up, and then there's no quests or anything after that.
It's almost like as if they've put in enough elements at the start for people that quote-unquote review it for like, an hour. They go, well, this is an RPG. And then that's it.
Anyway,
so it's very altruistic
that
of you, I have
the
to
highlight
say.
of my week.
It's very altruistic because from a leaderboard perspective, you're competing on the RPG leaderboard. So for you strategically, from a game theory perspective, one could say, it makes no sense for you to declassify this game. You've already played it as an RPG. It doesn't help you.
And I've already bought it. And it's
Correct.
funny, I was actually talking with one of the guys at the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah.
And he actually messaged me saying, "Is this an RPG? Is it an RPG? Do you think it's an RPG? Should I save my money?" And I'm like, "I'll let you know." And then I told him at the end of it,
So there you go.
It's not an RPG.
That's very altruistic. Like, he doesn't need to now play that game to be,
exactly.
It's not relevant to him. You've actually helped him. You're the good guy of true achievements.
It goes both ways. There'll be people that play games and I'm like, that doesn't look like an RPG. I'm just going to sit on the sidelines and let other people play it. And then it gets declassified. I'm like, thank God I didn't spend $30 on that.
I still never will know the definition of an RPG. Like, I get that there's high level thoughts on it, but so many games have those elements now. It's a bit like, where do you stop and start calling things RPGs?
Well, I actually want to do a feature on that, so maybe we should park that because I've got a lot. I've got a lot to talk about when it comes to that. So.
And sort of.
By the way, how about your week?
Yeah, it's been good. I've actually been really unwell. No coronavirus or anything like that. But
that's great to hear.
No, it's just I think with the new baby and just trying to do a lot of things still. It's good that I've had the month off work. It's just I haven't even had really much energy to play games or anything. Like, I watched a little bit of that High Score on Netflix, which it's okay. It's not bad. But then I actually ended up watching a bunch of the F1 Strive to Win, I think it's called. That's an awesome doco series. So I highly recommend that one, probably more than the High Score one. And then again, Rocket League. I've been playing that a little bit just to tease the final segment of today's show. And just as you're touching on the RPG, I think we were both thinking maybe we'd have to come up with some magical special feature. And then very late in Australian time, Nintendo decided to surprise us with the Mario 35th anniversary direct. And I think I got to you within 15 minutes of this going live without any warning or anything. It just popped up. And I think I jumped in YouTube and I was like, whoa, what the heck is this? And as
normally I hear about this stuff kind of just, it'll pop up somewhere, but you actually, when you sent that, I didn't know what it was, but I think you just posted a YouTube link and I'm like, that's got to be something. It's got to be like Smash or it's got to be something.
And part of me, the reason why I always do that with you is because I hear about something and it's not like I'm hearing about it 5 hours later. It's like an hour later. And I reach out to you and go, whoa, have you heard about this? This is crazy. And you're like, oh, yeah, I know all about that. So I'm like, whenever I see big news now, I'm like, I really want to get to you first.
I find it funny seeing the osmosis of how it travels down, in our friends group as well, where we will, we could have talked about something on the podcast and then someone in our friends group might bring it up.
Yeah, exactly. A week later.
You have to kind of hold yourself from back from being like, old news, man. Where have you been the last 6 hours?
And as we do,
your whole life doesn't revolve around Mario. News.
And as we're prone to do on this show, we always start with the biggest piece of news from our opinion, of course, which is the worst kept secret: Xbox Series S in gaming. I mean, no, sorry, apologies. Super Mario 3D All Stars. So.
I was waiting for that. I'm like, is my note in the run sheet going to trip him up?
No.
Mission accomplished.
And one thing that we should say is we don't generally talk about rumors. More like I don't like talking about rumors because there have been plenty of times where something is everyone's talking about it. It's going to happen and it doesn't. And I just don't think there's much point until it actually comes to fruition. But this, yes, was very heavily rumored. The rumors were pretty much 100% correct. The 3D collection includes Super Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, and Super Mario Galaxy, and no Super Mario Galaxy 2. And I think that's pretty much how most of the rumors around it were. And just to sort of call out, so this game is coming out really soon. So this is the 18th of September. It was announced, the 3rd of September. So it was only about 2 weeks plus a bit of change. And also, interestingly, it's releasing as a limited release until March 2021, which is what they did with the re-release of Super Mario All-Stars on the Wii back, I think it was about 10 years ago now. Probably just quick things to call out before we jump into it. it is a remaster. It's not a remake. So it very much looks like the original games, just with, sort of an up-res. Mario 64 is still 4:3 ratio. I think it's 720p in docked mode. Super Mario Sunshine, the exciting thing there is it's the first time that it's 16:9, and that's running at 1080p. And Galaxy was already 16:9, but now it's going to get up-res to 1080p. And there's obviously some control adjustments. There's still a lot of conversation around exactly how the controls are going to work. There have been some answers out there. The thing that kind of bummed me out a little bit was there was confirmation that the GameCube, at least on launch, that you can't use the official GameCube controller and the adapter and use the analog triggers. I was really, really hoping that they would just update that in the background, but alas, they can't do that. And I'm really interested to see how they're going to make that work in Sunshine. So what did you think of this?
Oh, this is amazing.
Mm.
I still remember as a kid getting Super Mario All Stars, the first one,
Yeah,
which we'll
on
talk
the
about
SNES, yeah.
soon as well. And that was like the biggest thing ever in my life. Probably at that point, I was probably like 10 years old, so I've obviously had bigger things in my life since then. But I just remember thinking this
Marginally.
is the greatest thing ever, and because I had never owned any Mario game except for Super Mario World at that point. And Mario Kart, like I'm talking mainline stuff.
Yeah.
I'd played them all. I'd beaten the Mario 1. I'd played a lot of Mario 2. But the weirdest part is I hadn't played lots of levels, which is not surprising. Most people hadn't played the Japanese Mario 2 at that point in their life. But I hadn't really played much of Mario 3 at all. So I actually experienced Mario 3 through that. And this announcement, it's kind of similar because Mario 64 and Sunshine I've played heaps, but I've actually only played probably the first couple of hours of Galaxy. So I'm so looking forward to finally being able to play through it properly.
Oh, so I thought you'd played through Galaxy. I'm the same as you. I've played about an hour or two of it on my Wii U, and I was like, wow, this game's amazing. And then I kind of parked it just because I was like, I feel like this is going to come out on the Switch, and then I can just take it on the go, and it's just going to make it so much easier. So yeah, now that this is coming out, I'm really pumped. And look, like I'll just preface this. I think that this is amazing. This is going to be one of the best value, buys that you could have. Mario 64 by itself, I would just buy as a standalone game if they released it. But the fact that it's coming with Sunshine and Galaxy for a lot of people is one of the best games ever from their perspectives. Um, I mean, I must admit, I was a bit like, I kind of wished, at least with maybe 64, that they had even an alternative version where it was a bit more of not a remake even, but just they'd pulled it through like Mario Odyssey graphics or something along those lines. Like, and you could switch modes or
Yeah,
something like that. Like, I wish they'd done something like that, or even at least a 16:9 version of that game. Like, I mean, you can play it on PC. Like, they've got a PC port, obviously unofficial PC port, and people have that running 16:9. So I thought that was a little bit baffling, but I'm still super excited by this, and I think it's really awesome.
yeah. I remember playing through Mario 64 just so many times. I played that game to death, and I remember playing through the 3D, not 3DS, the Nintendo DS version,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
I wouldn't want them to take that version because that version was very different. She had to catch a bunny with Yoshi at the beginning. You start as Yoshi, I think, in that game.
Mm,
But the models, some of the models in that DS version were actually quite nice,
mm,
and I'm like, it would have been nice, I think, to kind of done maybe an Ocarina of Time on 3DS style, where they've just reworked some of the models. That would have been nice, but I think if you just did that, then people would have been, it's like giving them an inch, take a mile. They would have expected you to overhaul a lot more than just the models.
yeah.
So I can kind of understand it's more like, well, let's just get it running nice, get it looking nice and crisp. And yeah, the 16:9 thing, it's a shame, but that's where, when it comes to Mario Sunshine, man, I'm super excited about that game because that game looks fantastic from the video that they've shown so far, because that game struggled on the GameCube for some
Yeah.
reason.
Well, it
So
really struggled in some parts of that game. Like, it ran, yeah, really, really bad. Like, basically like single digit frame per second. Um, And look, like I'm the same as you. Like ultimately, I'm very happy with this package. I ordered it straight away. Like I was super pumped for it. It's something that it's a great package to have. When I think about my kids down the track, like this is kind of something I want to fire up and play. Because it's just such an easy, accessible format. And I'm the same as you. I'm actually, when I get this, I actually think I'll boot up Sunshine first because it's the one that I played the least, and I feel like we'll benefit the most from the graphics overhaul and the up-res, and the game looks amazing. It probably looks the best out of the three of them, to be honest, from the trailer. And
the big thing with Sunshine, sorry to cut you off,
yeah.
is that my hope, and I don't think I've seen any confirmation about this, is the inverted camera. So the vertical camera, and that's what a lot of people struggle with. That you didn't have the option to toggle it either way, so you had to go with what they put in the game.
Wait, the camera
And
was
that was a lot of.
inversed, so it's like
I can't remember which way it was, but I know that you didn't have an option to toggle it either way.
okay.
And that was actually a huge barrier to entry for people because you're constantly sitting there with Flood aiming up and down, and you had to either adjust or that's it. You couldn't play the game.
Yeah.
So I really hope that they give you the option in this version,
And
and I do have a feeling they will, but it's also Nintendo.
I don't know. To be honest, like this is a limited release, and I don't find that strange at all. Like ultimately, Nintendo, the way that they want to run these things and their IP, they want to guard it really carefully, and they don't want to just milk it. So it's like the old Disney Vault system where they'd bring out a release, put it on VHS, and then take it off the shelves within a few months. So you got to make a decision: are you going to get it or not? Like sort of. Like it does make sense from a business point of view. They're probably leaving some money on the table, but then it means that these IPs are going to be worth a lot. Even like the fact that Mario 64 could sell, and it came out in like 96 is pretty incredible. But it does feel very bare bones. Like I even put a note in that you can actually see some of the textures in Mario 64. They've tweaked them to make them a bit sharper, and I think your point around things being crisp is very accurate. It just looks like they've gone, how do you just make it really crisp and then we're done? Like not muck around with anything else. So I don't know. Like it's going to be really interesting when we boot it up. Like, have they got some extra stuff in the games as well? Like a bit of a history of the games and, all the extra goodies or not Easter eggs, sorry, but the special feature stuff that's pretty awesome. I know that they've confirmed the whole music thing, which I don't know. That's not a thing. Do you ever use that in Smash? I know that's really, really big in Smash, the music player.
Well, Smash just has so many music tracks from different games. I don't look at the music in majority of these games and think that's something I want to listen to outside of Mario. Sure. I love listening to these tracks within while I'm playing Mario. Mario 64 has some, just classic tracks, and I play that game so much that they're drilled in my head, basically. But I'm not going to ever want to listen to them outside of playing Mario 64.
Yeah, it's just that I don't think I ever use that music player feature. It just seems funny that they always feature that in these games. And the other thing is
the only time I use that is if I'm trying to like choose a new song to play in like the lobby in Smash or something. That's the only time I'm ever kind of as a standalone thing.
For sure. And it's interesting because I've been like following this quite closely online, because Nintendo does release a lot of limited things. That what they've said with this is, you can buy digitally and there's like no limit to the amount of digital copies out there. It seems to be some limitation on the physical copies. So, if you do want to pick this up, I would recommend, getting a pre-order in, making sure you've, secured a copy. Not that I think it will run out, at least before Christmas, but I could see a real possibility that this is sold out by Christmas time and there's just no other copies, or maybe one more run and then that's it before March comes about. Because even when I went to my local JB Hi-Fi, so that's like, Best Buy in America, they said that they had about 200 on order. And I think I was already the 6th person that pre-ordered it. And I went in at like 11 a.m. on that day. So like, I'm like, wow, there's a lot of people who are keen on this game. So I don't know. It sounds like, you'd probably be able to get a copy, even maybe on the day, but I wouldn't waste too much time if you do want to get it physically. because they won't re-release this on the Switch. This will be the only time that they do this. And was there anything
Yeah,
else you wanted to call out on this game? Oh, there's one more thing I wanted to say after you.
Thank you. I got to give them shit though for the digital limited. I understand from a business standpoint, but from a consumer standpoint, there's a lot of people that aren't looking to spend. We know the games industry is actually seeing a bit of a boom in this pandemic time, but there's a lot of people that don't want to buy these games right away because they've got a budget and everything. And it feels very rough to do that in this current time. So I like when we talk about, okay, why do they do it? Everything like that. I understand from that side, but I think it's a shitty thing to do to the consumers at the moment, or at least maybe if you plan to do that, maybe just make the decision to back off from it digitally, or at least give more, extend it, just because there's so many people that are literally not working because their employers are not, they've had to shut their doors, whether it's temporary or permanently, and they're not looking to spend $60 on games right now. And it just kind of sucks that it basically says, okay, you've got until March to purchase, and apparently it won't be ever available again, or at least, this particular collection.
Yeah. Well, what I do wonder is like with whether they look at it and go, oh, what we could actually do is release Mario 64 as part of maybe 64 games that come online, in September 2021. And then maybe the year after some GameCube games, and then the year after some Wii games. You know what I mean? So, because you got to remember, a lot of these games are available on the Virtual Console on Wii U. So it's not like they were against releasing them. Not any GameCube games, I should point out. But certainly the Wii games. So Galaxy and Galaxy 2 was on the Wii U. It still is, actually. So like that's one thing that I was kind of wondering, like maybe that's what they're doing as well. Sort of like make it a limited compilation and then put it as part of their service later. So then it's sort of like, because otherwise, if it's still available for sale and you've bought it, and then a month later, hey, it's for free as part of your Nintendo Switch Online, you'd probably then go, oh, I feel like I've been ripped off or something. So maybe that's a reason. I totally get it from a business sense. And I totally agree also that from a consumer lens, it sucks. Like it's not friendly. It's not certainly not consumer friendly like, CD Projekt Red, who are probably the most consumer friendly business I've ever seen. Like it's pretty nuts. Like with all the DLC and everything like that, they're just really crazy with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but I guess finish on a positive note from me. I've been looking for a good way to play Mario Galaxy, so I'm super looking forward to that. It is a shame that Galaxy 2 isn't there, but I also understand why they'd kind of want to limit it to these three games, because they're all quite different, and it looks like it's okay. Like it's almost like the flagship Mario title of that 3D generation, whereas Galaxy 2, it's almost like, when you talk about New Super Mario Brothers 2 and things like that, it's a sequel. It's definitely a sequel. So I think they just wanted to limit it to those flagship games.
Yeah. And when they were developing Galaxy, they kept on having all this extra stuff. They actually started then developing Galaxy 1.5, which became Galaxy 2. So, I, I it would be good if they had it, but to me, it's sort of just more Mario Galaxy. So I kind of get why they didn't have it. And just like the last thing for me really is and it's very nitpicking, but it's just kind of a shame that this is an actual revised version of Mario 64. So like a lot of the speed running tricks won't work on this version of Mario 64, and I'm sure people speed run this.
No BL. Was it BLJs?
I'm just going to leave that there without saying what that is for people.
Backwards long jump. Thank you.
No, I know. I'm just just saying it's funny.
No, I don't want people to think that I'm making a dirty joke.
So yeah, like that's kind of, I wish, stuff like that. I feel like, damn, it's just a shame that they couldn't have a mode where you could play as the original one, so then people could actually speed run on these, and that would just be neat
true,
to me.
but I mean, a lot of time they'll speed run like the Japanese versions of things anyway, because the text blocks are smaller and quicker, and there's things like that. So I don't know if what is it like? This version, I think, is considered like Mario 64 Shindo, which is the revised version.
Yeah.
But I think people are gonna miss that. So long, Ye Bowser, aka so long, Yay Bowser. I think people are gonna miss that more than the backwards long jump.
All right, and now let's move into our from our ranking perspective, the next part of the direct, which was Super Mario 3D World. So the ports keep coming, and I've been really looking forward to this game coming out on the Switch. And kind of, I was a bit perplexed why it didn't come out earlier. Just thinking about big Mario titles, you've obviously had Odyssey in 2017. Sort of felt like it would have made a lot of sense if it was a year or 2 years ago that this game came out, but maybe they always intended for this to come out as part of the 35th anniversary collection. So yeah, no, it's a really exciting upgrade to Super Mario 3D World, and it includes Bowser's Fury, which they really didn't go much into, but it looks very different because I've played a bit of 3D World. Looks like a more open sort of area, and you can pick whatever sort of worlds you want to, or like levels you want to actually go play. And it looks like they might be even harder just from the tone of it. But I don't know if you've played much 3D World. That game's not easy near the end of it. And it's very difficult actually to 100% that game. It's not like Dark Souls obviously, but as Mario games go, it's probably one of the harder Mario games to 100%. So yeah, it'd be really interesting if they actually make a harder sort of, DLC. It's not really DLC, but like an extra part of the game.
Yeah, I own this game, but I just have never got around to playing it. So I'll have to kind of make a decision whether or not I want to repurchase or actually just go and play it on the Wii U. But I'm, we knew this was coming at some point. It's great that it is. I think you've got a note here that potentially might have been sped up. Do
It
we know if
definitely
that's
is.
the case, or
It's definitely,
do we think
definitely.
it's just the trailer?
No. So when I watched the trailer, I was like, this is crazy because I played a bit of the game. I really like it. It's, 3D World's a weird game. It's, if someone says it's my favorite Mario game, I kind of get that, but it's also a very odd one because 3D Land, which is kind of like the precursor to this game that came on the 3DS, that's just such a good game. It's like such a great handheld game. It really fits the 3DS. And then this game, obviously is the console version of it. And it's sort of, I don't know, for me, it's sort of a weird Mario game. It's not quite a 2D game. It's not even for me really quite a 3D game. Um, but yeah, just watching the trailer, I was like, wow, okay, they've sped this game up because it really did feel slow when I played it. And yeah, there's been a bunch of people doing comparisons and things like that, and they've actually sped the game
Yeah,
up.
I'm looking that. I'm
So
looking
I
that
was
up
like, oh,
now.
that's
Yeah,
actually really cool because that's one thing I didn't like about the game, that it did feel slow. And it looks like they've given Mario one or two extra moves. So no, it looks like really cool. I'll definitely get this because I'm keen to see what the whole Bowser's Fury thing is. And we should also point out that there's online co-op because this is a very co-op game. So there's local co-op and online co-op to this game. So I guess, that's one thing. Maybe if you do get it and I get it, we could actually play it in co-op mode, given how great Nintendo's online co-op is.
yeah, yeah.
It's probably
I
not as bad as
can't.
Square
It's,
Enix, which is just a call out to another segment that will come up.
yeah, I can't even make a joke about that. That alone is the punchline.
So this
Nintendo's
is coming
online.
out on the 12th of Feb next year. And this is not going to sell out. They've not said that this is limited. I think this is just going to be one of those evergreen titles for Nintendo. And I don't know, maybe kind of carry them through. Like maybe they're not looking to push out, Odyssey 2 or whatever they're doing next from a Mario perspective.
Yeah, I think if this was announced as its own separate thing outside of this, all these announcements, I think it would have got a lot more buzz. So it'd be interesting to see whether or not it does sell a lot, or if it kind of gets a little overshadowed by All Stars and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, All Stars is going to be pretty limited, but I mean, Nintendo, like Mario sells. There's like a base amount that Mario just sells, and even new Super Mario, what is it called? New Super Mario Wii U Deluxe, I think it's called on the Switch. That
Yeah,
that sold very well for the fact that to me is not a very good game. Like that's one of the most average Mario games I've played. Along with what is it? New Super Mario Brothers 2, I think it's called, on the 3DS.
Some people love those games, though. People that, well, I say people have no taste. I actually haven't played them, so I can't say that. I was just trying to just be an asshole with that.
Antagonistic.
But
Look, just to be clear,
I'd always looked at the Wii U one, and it looks way more appealing to me than any of the previous New Super Mario Brothers, just because the other ones looked like just almost like someone's fake, knockoff of Mario.
So I'm the opposite. Like, I've played all of those new Super Mario Brothers games, and I think the original ones, like the ones on the Wii and DS and things like that, it was kind of like, there's some new ideas, some stuff that's still stuck around in the series, but the sequels, to me, they just added almost nothing to the games, and they just weren't that inventive. So not a big fan, but obviously it's not a review of those games. But given how well that those sold, I think that, Super Mario 3D World hopefully will find its audience. It is a really good game, and it would be a shame if it does get buried. But they have spaced out a lot of the releases, so it'd be interesting to see how it goes. And just related to that release, Amiibo, it's not dead yet. Amazing. And just for context, I have a lot of Amiibo. Like, I was like, I have a guess how many Amiibo I have. I actually counted through it. I was like, oh my God, like that is ridiculous.
Okay.
Have a guess.
42.
Higher.
Whoa, okay. 60?
Higher.
80?
Higher.
What? Oh my God. 100?
Higher.
Okay, at this point, I'm not going to get. All right.
No, it's about 110.
Oh my God! I didn't realize you had that many. Where do you keep them all?
I've got a lot of shells. I'm actually going to consolidate them and open them all up, which is very sacrilegious. So I am very excited about the Cat Mario and Cat Peach amiibo that are going to come out to coincide with Super Mario.
Let's do it the
3D
other
World.
way. Let's do it the other way. I want you to guess how many I have.
2.
Lower.
1.
Correct.
Which one do you have?
And it's Marth. Marth, so I could use it as a Smash Brothers amiibo fighter.
Nice. Yeah, I sent you the link when Hero, given that you like to play as Hero, because that's coming out at the end of the month. So yeah, these amiibo, they're already on pre-order. I always recommend people to pre-order them because there's not always the stock on the day when they release. So this is also coming on the 12th of Feb 2021 to coincide with the Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury release. There's not much more to say than that. They're $45 Australian.
Sorry, you've got $45. So is that each, or is it a pack?
In Australia, they're releasing as a dual pack, and then other regions it's separate. So I mean, that's about like the cost of Amiibo now is about $22 Australian. So
yeah, that's what I thought. That's why I'm like, wait, it's got to be to both of them. So okay,
it's interesting because for a time there was a bit of a discount if there was a dual pack. So from memory, Pearl and Marina, when they came out, I think it was like $36 or something like that, $39. But yeah, they're just basically double or triple or whatever. And the dual packs and quad packs, it's all random how that all works.
What is the point of Amiibos at this point? Other than, outside of, I'd like to collect these physical things and have them on display, which I understand. What is the point beyond that?
Oh, like from my perspective, it's 0% about, extra features in the games, or I almost never have used that functionality. Like, I just like the way they look. I like collecting them. I like, monitoring if I'm missing a couple, just like trying to jump on a good price for them. I don't know. It's just I kind of like it.
It almost feels like they've kind of given up on that side of it, the actual Toys to Life side. Yeah. I know that there's probably still some of them. I know that if it's another version of Mario, another version of Peach, then it will still act as a Mario probably in Smash or whatever, like they've done for previous ones.
Yeah.
But it just feels like they've almost just completely given up on that side, or at least in the way they market them. Like they don't, whenever they announce them, or like for instance with Smash, it's like, oh, there's new Amiibo.
Yeah, well, and it's funny
because
the whole
There's no
series started
context
with
given to people. Sorry, there's no context given to people who actually might not know what they're actually used for.
yeah, I know. So yeah, I know, and they rarely talk about the functionality anymore. So the whole series started with Smash for Wii U and 3DS, and still to this day, that's the best functionality that you have in the Amiibo, because the Amiibos for Smash, it like talks, it's read and write, like it actually talks to your system and kind of writes data to the Amiibo back and forth and things like that. Most implementations are just like you pop the Amiibo on and you get like a special skin or an outfit or something like that. I think a part of it was because they got a lot of pushback around Breath of the Wild, and then also you remember Samus Returns when it came on 3DS, the remake, and there was some stuff that was like gated by the Amiibo, and they didn't make enough of them, so people were getting really annoyed, contacting Nintendo. And a lot of these things influence their decisions. I think they probably looked at it and sort of said, it's not worth gating off the functionality for something that they don't even make in quantities for people to buy. Like, there's still a lot of Amiibo I would want to get, but they just don't have them anymore. And I don't want to pay $150 or, some Amiibo, it's like $400 now for a single Amiibo, which I'm not going to get, obviously. I'm not that crazy.
It's just like Beanie Babies all over again.
It really is. But, I'm very, like, sort of honest. Like, I'm not doing it from an investment collecting point of view or anything like that. I just like the way they look. And, in the 90s, when we didn't have that much cash, the amount of games that I've played from Nintendo that I didn't buy at the time, like, I feel like it's a pretty even trade now. I feel like they're probably on top. So it's all sort of evened out. And then getting into, and that wasn't even in the direct, but getting into the direct, something that, when I saw it initially, I was like, wow, what is this? So this really took me by surprise, and I think took a lot of people by surprise. The announcement of an augmented reality version of Mario Kart. So in the form of Mario Kart Live. And essentially you've got this toy, it's got a camera, it's sort of, about 3 inches long, I think. And you can place it in your home and use the Nintendo Switch as a controller for it and actually, drive around your living room or your bedroom or your garage or whatever. And there's obstacles and you're actually kind of like playing Mario Kart on the Switch, but also with your home. And yeah, this looks really cool. What did you think of it?
Oh, this is really cool, and whether or not it ends up being actually fun to play or not, I think just the idea is cool. With obviously augmented reality is not a new thing. It had a huge boom with Pokemon Go, and it's kind of bubbled away a bit since then. This to me is the next step. It's not going to be as big as something like Pokemon Go, I don't think, but I think it's the next step in how do you use this in an actual property. There's people out there testing augmented reality stuff, doing theses and everything. Actually knew a guy that was doing a thesis on augmented reality.
Oh, really?
And but it's like to bring it to like a mass market retail product, and in this cool way, I think is great. But you called it Mario Kart Live, so it's actually called Mario Kart Live Home Circuit, right?
Mm.
I think the name kind of sucks. I
Yeah, it's
mean,
a really bad
like it
name.
just yeah, like Mario Kart Home Circuit or Mario Kart Live, just one of those two, would have been fine. It's almost like that we're going to talk about gods and monsters soon, but it's like it's almost like the week of bad names.
It's
But
not on that level, let's be fair.
no, it's not on that
It's
level.
not to steal
But
the thunder of that segment, but
yeah,
yeah, I agree.
it's
It's a
but
stupid
it
name.
looks it looks cool though. It this is something I'm definitely not going to get myself,
Mm.
but I could see anyone that has kids that and a lot of kids love Mario and a lot of kids love Mario Kart, and I think this is a perfect thing. And it's coming out. It's weird that it's coming out in October. It almost seems like this would be a perfect thing to release just before Christmas.
Well, but that is the window for Christmas, really, genuinely. Like, from a if you want to have a hot toy, you want to probably release it in October, because you've also got the lead up to Black Friday and all that kind of stuff. Like, you pretty much want it in October so that if it's just crazy demand, you can get a lot more stock on the shelves before Christmas. And just to go back to what you're saying, like, my boy, he loves, so he's like 3, he loves, cars and motorbikes and all this other kind of stuff. And I was actually looking to get, I was actually starting to do research on RC cars because I'm like, oh, maybe I'll get an RC car and we'll, kind of teach him a little bit and just have a bit of fun. And then this direct happened and I'm like, well, I got to get this for him, obviously. So, and then I'll reveal my hand a little bit because he saw it and he goes, because he knows Mario and Luigi. He actually knows the character names. And he's like, I want Luigi. And I'm like, I'm not getting Luigi.
Wait, why did he want Luigi? I'm just thinking that animation. I think it was Mario Kart 8 trailer or something where Luigi's, looking. It became a meme, the Luigi stare or whatever,
the
and he goes
stare,
past.
Yeah.
The death stare.
No, I don't know. Like, I don't know why he wanted Luigi, but he wanted Luigi. I didn't get that one. So I did order this. And I look, it's honestly like I ordered it and then I thought, I should have waited until it actually came out because I don't think it will sell out because I feel like this thing, if it doesn't work, you know what I mean? Like if they haven't executed it perfectly, it's going to be really frustrating and kind of just annoying and not fun. So like, Nintendo generally makes pretty good things and they've really hyped this up. So you figure that it would be good. So we'll see, I guess. And you definitely won't get it?
No, because I think you need like hardwood floors to get the most out of this. It looks like so. I definitely don't have hardwood floors where I am.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, and it's one of those ones where it's probably fun with kids and stuff like that. And we should say, I don't know if we did, that it supports 4 carts. So I kind of also wonder down the track if it is successful if they start releasing other characters, because it seems like it's only Mario and Luigi at this point.
And just to be clear on that, it supports 4 carts, but each person would need to also have their own Switch to control it.
Yeah, it's a very, very, very expensive 4-player RC game. It'd be like 600 Australian dollars, and that's accepting that you already have the Switches. So once you add the Switches to the mix, it makes it thousands of dollars just to play this RC game.
I'm just can picture in my head where you've got like maybe a brother and sister playing, and like one of them gets pissed off at the other person, so they actually go and grab the cart and like
throw it,
take it off the track or something. So it's like all lost and spinning around. I could just see that because the game it's got to know kind of where unless there's a way for it to correct itself. I think it would probably just get lost at that point. If
I know. It's going to be interesting to see how it works because even just looking at it, there's actually 2 bars. There's like almost like a mobile bar in the top left. And then there's like a fuel bar, which I'm guessing the fuel bar is like battery. I don't know. Look, I'll check it out when we get it and sort of do a mini review of it and sort of my impressions of what I think of it. So, and just moving on to me, like, I was quite shocked at this and very pumped. The Mario 35th anniversary, they decided to actually bring back Game & Watch and create a Game & Watch Super Mario Brothers handheld. So the Game & Watch is, the original Nintendo handheld. And it was also one of the Game & Watches, I can't remember which one it was off the top of my head, was the origination of the D-pad, which is pretty amazing when you think about it, because the D-pad still is, in use on pretty much any controller worth its salt to this day, even with PS5 and Xbox Series X. And what they've done is they've included Ball, which was the very first Game & Watch, but they've got Mario's head instead of the weird looking dude's head for Ball.
It kind of looks disturbing.
I don't like it personally. I wish that they just had the original Ball, or it had an option that you could just switch it out. And yeah, you can play through Super Mario Brothers and Super Mario Brothers Lost Levels. And they said it's a liquid crystal display, like LCD display. So I do kind of wonder how like, maybe it's going to be a really low quality display. It's going to be interesting. And very, very limited production. So much so that in Australia, this has gone for pre-order. And I don't believe it's gone for pre-order in America yet, just because it's still going through FCC approval. It's already sold out in Australia at every store you can get it from. Like, they've already sold out all the pre-orders, and it's coming November 13th, 2020. And in Australia, it's about $80. So,
You skipped over the best part. The
which was the
part that
best
I
part?
actually
Oh, well,
most want.
the most important part is that you can put it on your nightstand as an alarm clock, right?
That's what I'm hoping.
No, you
Now it
can.
says
It does have
because
an alarm.
no, wait. Let me finish my sentence.
No,
That's what I'm
unacceptable.
hoping, that it's good as an alarm clock, because just because something has a clock doesn't mean it's suitable as a good alarm clock.
Oh,
So
yeah, true.
I've actually been through this before where something says, oh, it has a clock, but then if you try to put it to sleep, it just sometimes doesn't work. So what I'm hoping is that it actually is a good alarm clock, because it'd just be neat. I actually need a new alarm clock. And I'm like, man, I hope this actually works well as an alarm clock. It seems stupid, but I've been burnt before. I don't want my heart broken.
I've been burnt before. To be fair though, so they've had the alarm clock in these things since '81 in the Game and Watches. It is a good backup alarm clock because I don't have an alarm clock anymore outside of my phone. And in the theoretical world where my phone doesn't go off or something like that, it's like, oh, okay, maybe I could always just set this as whatever time I need to wake up and see how that goes. I couldn't imagine it being too loud though.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. I'm not expecting it to actually work well as an alarm clock. So it's kind of like, I just like the idea of it. So I definitely got myself one of these, as well as the 3D All Stars. But I'm hoping it is a good alarm clock.
Yeah. No, I'm actually. It's a really weird one. Like, I'm the same as you. I got, I feel pretty bad at the moment because I think I've ordered every single thing so far that's come out, and then that's it. There's nothing else that I can even order. Um, so yeah, like with the Game and Watch, like, do you really think you'll play it that much?
I'll probably play Lost Levels, because I
Hmm.
can't think of, like, I Lost Levels. I think is that on the Switch Online NES
Yeah.
app? Lost
Yeah.
Levels.
Yeah. The original version. So the
Yeah,
one that came out in the Famicom, not with the updated graphics.
simply because I actually really like Lost Levels. It's an
Really?
absolute asshole of a game,
Oh, I
but
think it's
I
a real
liked it.
bad
Yeah,
game.
as a kid. No, I'm not saying it's a good game. I just really liked it. I just there's it. It's almost like it is the original troll levels in Mario Maker, because there's
Hmm.
times when you will take a warp pipe and it'll take you back to the start of the game and
Yeah.
things like that.
The
I
thing
love
that
it.
pisses me off about it is the wind. Like, I was playing it, and then like randomly the wind will come. I don't think there's a way to predict when the wind will come, and you jump, and then the wind comes in, and you just can't make it. I'm like, oh, this is just a bad game. Like, this is why we got a different Super Mario Brothers 2. It's just not that good
Did
of a game.
Did you ever complete it?
Nah, God no.
Really?
Unless I
See, I
cheated.
see. That's why I think I have more appreciation, because I've seen the whole game. So
I like the elitist perspective.
you
Are
just
you,
need
are
to
you
get
saying I'm
good.
like that journalist that couldn't get through the tutorial of Cuphead or something?
Yeah, only slightly better.
Well, I'm not a good gamer. I'm not a good gamer, but that's fine. We need a balance on this panel. But no, I don't know. I just didn't enjoy it enough to want to actually play it longer. I probably got up to pretty deep in the game. I think like the equivalent of World 8 or whatever that is. I think it's still World 8 from memory. But yeah, I just didn't think it was that good. But anyway, parking that, because I do think we'll circle back with the Super Mario All Stars on Switch. Yeah, like this is really cool. Maybe keep an eye out for it because it might, like in Australia at least, it might actually hit some of the stores, like the regular stores, like Big W and Target and things like that. So maybe have a hunt for it on the day it comes out. But I'm guessing it will sell very quickly, and then unfortunately, I'll probably get scalped. Just because it's obviously a very very limited run, and I've been looking for a long time to pick up a Game and Watch, so I'm super happy that they've released this because then you can just get an authentic one. It's not like one from back in the day, but it's still pretty cool. And moving on to one of the other somewhat surprising announcements, something that people have thought about a lot, I guess.
Somewhat surprising. I think it's
Well, I mean,
very surprising.
well, okay, but people, we haven't even introed what it is. So this is Super Mario 35. So it's a battle royale from the same people that developed Tetris 99, and the exact same concept where you do things in your your game, so of Super Mario Brothers, and it will send, enemies to your opponents, and people get knocked out until there's one person out of the 35 remaining. I just say that it wasn't that shocking, just given that people have actually created this game, and they've had cease and desist from Nintendo, so people have already created their own battle royales for Super Mario Brothers.
I know that, but I think it's very surprising considering that, first of all, this wasn't in any of those leaks. And second
True,
of
true.
all, for Nintendo to do this, I would never have expected them to. Like, Tetris, I think, you can almost do anything you want with Tetris because it's kind of this property that it's falling blocks, so you can do a lot of stuff with that.
Yeah.
They've been very careful, I think, with not careful, but basically like to take Mario and put it into something like this mini battle royale. I actually wouldn't have expected Nintendo to do this. Obviously, I've seen the fan ones, but that's why
Yeah.
I thought it was very surprising.
Yeah, and it was really cool. Like it's certainly something I'll play, and it's coming to Nintendo Switch Online from the 1st of October. But just to talk about playing it, you would want to get onto it and play it because they're actually going to make this limited as well, and it's only playable until March 2021. One thing I'll just quickly say on that is they did sort of say that about Tetris 99. They said it's a limited game, and then it's still available. Like they haven't taken it off yet. So maybe they'll extend it depending on how popular it is, or maybe they go and create like a Kart version of this, which they've done with Tetris 99. Not sure. What did you think about the fact that it's limited?
This one being limited makes a lot more sense to me because it relies on a big community of people playing it. Not
Yeah,
to say that there probably wouldn't be enough people, still playing it at that point. But it's a free thing, so it's almost like a special event. So I understand that why this is limited as opposed to the limited digital versions of 3D All Stars.
mm.
Honestly, I think this looks cool, but I don't think I'm probably going to enjoy trying it. I didn't like Tetris 99 in any way at all.
Oh really?
Um, no, I thought it was a horrible way to play Tetris, honestly. But also, I didn't spend enough time with it to probably get the hang of it. What I don't like, we've talked about this before, not on the podcast. I'm also not a fan. This is obviously not to do with Mario 35, but with Tetris, I don't like holding pieces in Tetris. Like I like the traditional Tetris, and that's what also meant that I didn't like Tetris 99. So
Yeah.
with this, I'll give it a shot, and I'd love to be surprised and actually enjoying it. But I kind of, when I'm playing a Mario game, I like kind of just focusing on what's happening, in my screen, and having to kind of like focus on attacking other people. I think it's probably just not going to be up my alley. But I love that it exists, and I really hope it's really fun for everyone.
Yeah. And I think if you are going to play it, you want to play it at launch, just given that we are a smaller market in Australia. I do think that this game is not going to have the same type of player base as Tetris has, where people, they just play Tetris for hours. Like my wife does this. She loves Tetris. I just can't see people playing Super Mario Brothers 35 for hours and hours. You know what I mean? It feels like something you'd jump on for 10, 20 minutes at most, really, and then just jump off. So, by virtue, then it's going to have a small player base. So I'm certainly going to try to jump on this early, try to get a, winner chicken dinner, and then at least I'll feel satisfied with that. Although, how good people are at Mario and how bad I am at games, as you've pointed out and shamed me, like I do kind of get worried that I won't be able to win. So we'll see. I haven't won at Tetris, so I haven't played it that much. But
I
yeah,
I will say also I was also a little surprised that I know it's not far away, but it's available on October the 1st. Because from memory, didn't Tetris 99 almost like when they announced it, it was almost like playable the next day or something like that. That's in
yeah,
my memory. It was like soon after. So it feels like out of everything, this would have been, and it's available right now kind of game. So
yeah.
that's just a weird thing from in recent memory. Normally that wouldn't happen in the past with games. But
Yeah, and maybe we'll tackle it in the overall thoughts, because I do have some thoughts on that one, just as how they've planned this release. Like this genuinely came out of nowhere. They didn't even warn and say, "Hey, there's going to be a direct tomorrow or tonight or something like that." They just dropped it, and it was shadow drop literally, and then it was like, okay, like everyone kind of get onto it. And just on that, like the final thing that we wanted to call out, because there are a lot of other announcements, but the final thing, big piece of news is that the thing that did get launched is Super Mario Brothers All Stars. So the actual Super Nintendo game they've put on as part of Nintendo Switch Online, which also to me, you know how I was talking about, you know, maybe they'll bring on Mario 64 in a year or two onto Nintendo Switch Online. I feel like that sort of even makes me feel like even more that they might do something like that. So again, this is, you know, so this is the game where they've taken the Super Nintendo version where they've got Super Mario Brothers, Lost Levels, Mario 2, Mario 3, all NES, Famicom games, and then they've actually like this is one of the first remakes, really, isn't it? That I can think of.
Yeah, not counting games that were ported to other systems and had to change their graphics for various
Well,
reasons.
that's a port though.
Because
This is not a
yeah,
port.
that's what I'm saying. Not counting that.
Mm.
This is the first time that I think we've seen like a classic game get a new cone of paint. That I can remember. There's probably outlier examples, but
Yeah, and it's certainly for me at least the biggest one that I can think of. Like in terms of like being one of the first ones. So yeah, it's interesting because we've experienced this really differently. I had all of these games on the NES, so not Lost Levels obviously because it didn't come out in Australia at the time. So I had 1, 2, and 3, and you know, I have said this that I think it's one of the best deals in gaming ever. The Mario All Stars because these games are just incredibly good. But, and this is not a hot take or anything, but I just don't think these are good versions of the game, to be honest.
Mario 2 is. Mario 2 is a great version. The other two, not so much. Although I've mentioned before that I do definitely. That's the first time I properly played through Mario 3, so I have I have probably more connection to that version than people that have played it the proper way. But I
Yeah.
think that is a great version of Mario 2. I really do think it is.
It's not a bad version. It's the thing I don't like is that they've changed the jump physics because Mario 1, 2, and 3 all have different jump physics, sort of just the way it feels and everything's different. And this, they've used, Super Mario World, I think, as the basis for the movement and the acceleration and jumps and things like that. And it just, I don't know, it never felt right ever since I played it since I was a kid. And also just the way it looks, it just doesn't look as iconic to me. And like even at the time, I was like, oh wow, this is cool, but it to me didn't look like Super Mario World, which I thought looked awesome, and it didn't look as good for some reason as the original NES games, personally. So yeah, I've never really liked Super Mario All Stars outside of it just being such an iconic compilation of games, and probably up there with things like Orange Box and things like that as being some of the most iconic compilations of games.
Well, yeah, that's just to drill home my point. I think Mario 2 is a much more improved version of the original in the All Stars collection. That game always felt on the NES version a little wonky, and I think the actual controls and just the graphics just way better in that version. I understand Mario 1 and Mario 3, the originals are probably the best way, but I think Mario 2 is the best way in All Stars
Oh,
myself.
fair enough. Yeah, I must admit, like I played Mario and Mario 3 stacks of times. Even recently, I played them through on Switch, like the NES versions of them. But Mario 2, I don't play as much, and even back in the day, I didn't beat it that many times. So yeah, that's an interesting point. I really can't even speak to that because I haven't played, the remake version in All Stars or the original version too many times. And yeah, I probably played Lost Levels the most with All Stars because this was the first time in Australia, at least, you could play All Stars. Sorry, Lost Levels. So I was always like, well, what is this? And then you die almost at the start with the poison mushroom. It's just like, what is this? This is just crazy.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
It was like I do like it from a troll perspective. But I can, certainly understand why people don't like this game.
It's crazy that it was actually the sequel in Japan. It's insane. I love it.
It is really weird, like when you think about it, and I've read a lot about Miyamoto and Nintendo and sort of at the time and everything like that, and it actually had a big influence on the team. This game and Zelda 2 had a really, really big influence on Miyamoto and how he made games. and just how they were received, because neither one was really received that well. And just, his perspectives on those games and what should and shouldn't happen. So yeah, but it's really cool. So it's available now. You can jump into Nintendo Switch Online, the Super Nintendo app, and you can play Super Mario All Stars, which they're all really cool versions of it. But obviously the original versions are already a part of the subscription. And just moving into finally just our overall thoughts. So yeah, what did you think about the Direct overall? There hasn't been a Direct in a long, long time. You know, do you think it was one of their better Directs? What were your thoughts about it?
A full direct in a long, long time. They've had those mini ones at least.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I don't feel like they really count as like a full Direct. It's not a hard and fast definition, I guess.
it was awesome. And what can I say? We knew that this stuff was coming, or at least I knew. You disputed it in the past, but well, that's a discussion for another time.
Hey, no, no, no. I just said it might not come. That was still a possibility.
I remember that conversation very well. Not exactly what we said, but the fact that we had that conversation. But it's great to have this finally out. They were running out of time to probably put this out. The kind of the rumor around the industry is that this was likely meant to be part of the whatever E3 was meant to happen, and it obviously that didn't happen. So
Yeah,
it's great to to not only have these announcements, but to get the things we didn't expect, like the Game and Watch, and the I guess Mario 35. As much as it's probably not my cup of tea. It's great to have these cool little things come out. It is a shame that everyone would have loved to have a real nice remade version of Mario 64, but also may have lost its charm if
yeah,
that game
true.
is in modern days is quite lacking probably in some areas. Not so much the pure gameplay, but outside of just maybe getting a better score and like coin score, there's not a lot of replayability in that game and things like that. So I think a lot of people may felt that it needed some extra stuff on top of that. So I think just going with the straight port was probably the smarter approach. But yeah, I loved it. I'm so looking forward to playing through specifically Sunshine and Galaxy again.
Yeah.
Well, Galaxy for the first time.
Yeah, I was super pumped. Basically every single announcement, I was like, "Whoa, what is this? Oh, whoa!" Like with Mario Kart, I was like, "Huh? Is this like Mario Kart 9? What is this?" I was just like, "Holy moly! Like, what are they doing here?" Yeah, and I think we've said this a lot of times. I'm not, everyone's very almost anxious that, hey, where's the Direct? What's going on? It's like there's so many games in everyone's backlog to play that they haven't played. In a weird way, we all could do with having a bit of a break from AAA massive games that are coming out all the time, if that makes any sense. To just catch up a little bit. So I've been totally fine with the sort of lack of news on that front, but I just I took a step back and I'm like, I feel like there's definitely no video game company that has the type of rich history that Nintendo has. But then at the same time, it's almost like no other company celebrates its history as well as Nintendo as well. Just, the Game and Watch and all this kind of stuff. It's like stuff they don't need to do. And they're not going to make squillions off doing that. But it just shows how much they love their own sort of, history and celebrate it. And probably the one thing that I did think at the end of it, because it's sort of like all of these events, and there's a lot of events we didn't even cover. There's going to be Splatfests that are Mario related, and some stuff in Mario Maker that they've got coming in. That a lot of the announcements and dates sort of have a 6-month period from now, and then you've of course got the 35th anniversary for Zelda in Feb next year, and it feels like we haven't seen anything about Skyward Sword for a long time. Probably the only big ports that haven't come yet are the Zelda HD remakes. So my sense is, yeah, in Feb, March, you're going to get a big Zelda 35th anniversary direct. And, in a weird way, that might even be bigger. If there's, I don't want to sort of already get to the next thing, but, if they did a remake of Ocarina of Time or something like that, I just think it'd be so cool. So no, this is awesome. I think I've already said that I'm picking up almost every single thing, or actually picking up every single thing that they announced. So I'm really, really looking forward to it. And I thought it was, really, really awesome. So that sort of concludes our thoughts on the Mario 35th Anniversary Direct. And
I will say, there was part of me, this very ridiculous part of me, that's like watching, thinking, man, I hope they announce Paper Mario for Smash. Come on, come on.
see,
There's like part of me, like towards the end, I'm like, okay, they're not obviously, it has to be something Mario related, but I'm like, come on, please announce it.
that's actually, what? Maybe that's still coming, right? But maybe they didn't do it because, I think you and I would be hyped if that happened. And just for everyone's, information, like I think we've both got the second pass for Smash DLC. So, it's not like we're, not putting our money where our mouth is. And I'd be hyped if Paper Mario became part of the roster. But I think it would have a negative reaction for fans. I think people are wanting a third party character for whatever reason.
Screw them. Give us Paper Mario.
Yeah, I think
Actually,
it'd be cool.
Paper Mario has been requested for a long time. I think you'd probably see that most people will be happy with that.
I think it'd be mixed, dude. I think it'd be mixed. I don't think it would be like all positive. As opposed to, if they bring in like Master Chief, which, by the way, if Master Chief has been put into Smash, because they've already decided all the characters, and now with the delay for Infinite, it could be causing them dramas, because I'm sure that they would have like been working towards a date for it. But no, I didn't even think about that. That's quite funny actually, that you thought about, hey, I want more. Give me something, something extra. So no, really, really cool direct. So I really loved it and really loved all the stuff that's coming out. So moving on to smaller news, and I'll hand over to you for the Ubisoft new IP, Gods and Monsters. Very cool title, Gods and Monsters.
Yeah, Gods and Monsters, that title that that we all love. Actually, Gods and Monsters, not a great title in its own. But
it's generic. It's generic, but it's not bad.
Yeah. So basically Ubisoft's open world Greek mythology title, Gods and Monsters, was announced a while back, and it's had a bit of a weird history. It was a playable build. It was leaked on Stadia back a few months ago.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And we all kind of knew, like the industry was basically saying, okay, they're kind of not going to reboot the game, but they're kind of retooling a lot of stuff. Because even in that Stadia footage, there was a lot of elements that were just literally placeholder from Assassin's Creed and things like that. Because it is very much, it's almost like a family-friendly version of Assassin's Creed Odyssey in many ways, because that had a lot of Greek mythology tie-ins as well. But according to a listing on Microsoft's store, the title is now being rebranded as Immortals Phoenix Rising. And I gotta say, that is a horrible title.
And can you just land the punch? Because Immortals, not Immortal, Immortals Phoenix Rising is already just such a bad title. Like, such a bad title. But how do you spell Phoenix?
Phoenix is Fenyx. Now, what I could see them trying to do here is trying to, I guess, start a new series of IP, like a franchise, I guess, where it's potentially set in different mythological time periods, and it's immortal something else, right? But there's not even a colon to kind of, or anything like that. It's just really weird. But the thing, to stray away from that negativity, some of the new screenshots actually look really cool, and I'm actually really keen on this game because I love Greek mythology, and I'm all for just a kind of a cool action adventure title that's probably a bit more of a like a fun version of Assassin's Creed Odyssey. And it's going to be re-revealed in Ubisoft Forward event that's coming up next week on the 10th of September. So I'm keen to see how it is, and yeah, I reckon I'll probably give the game a shot when it comes out eventually.
Yeah, so the Ubisoft will cover that in the next potty. And I think they're going to talk about Watch Dogs Legion again, which, we might not even mention next week.
The grandma again? Let's see if they have a new take on the grandma.
We do tend to get a little bit meta with these things, but I'm almost really interested to see their reaction to everyone's reaction to seeing the trailer and just to see if they then try to change gears again. Because it felt like people were like, oh, that was cool. Did you see the whole thing with the grandma when they did it the first time? And it was only very quickly. And then they just like doubled down on it and everyone's like, this is just lame. So I kind of wonder if they're now going the other way or something. I don't know. Or the granny's dead straight away or something.
No, you got to keep going. You got to go all in on the grandma.
Okay. I got two suggestions. So the first is the cover should be the grandma. They've updated the cover to be, and it's not, what is it, Watch Dogs Legion. It's Watchdog Grandmas. Just get the fans back into it. Another rebrand. Yeah, this is a terrible name. I mean, this hasn't been officially confirmed, right? But it does seem like it's very much going to be the name because it's a very odd name if it's random. So
yeah, it's all but whenever you've got Microsoft listing that stuff, you know that's essentially confirmed. This just hasn't been confirmed by them.
Well, I guess we'll hear more about it next week and see how that goes. And looking into one of my favorite games of all time, Rocket League. So Rocket League's in a really weird spot right now. So as I spoke about the other week, and we'll touch back at the end of the show in the final segment, just around probably both of our thoughts about Rocket Pass, because I know that you had Rocket Pass 1 and I had every other Rocket Pass since then. Given that and we don't know when, they still have refused, and I'm on the Rocket League Discord and they're getting to a point where they're saying, if people keep asking the developers, when is the free-to-play version launching, we're going to start banning people on the Discord. You know that they're getting quite sensitive about the due date, because they did say it's September, and now it's like mid-September.
Can I ask, why are people so like? Do they have nothing else going on in their life that they need to know that date? That's the most important thing going on. When does Rocket League go free to play? You just play Rocket League. It's not like the game shut down until that happens. Bloody
I know.
idiots.
It's strange. Like, these are people who have Rocket League. So
yeah,
I don't know. I think they want to get their mates into it or something like that. Well, I don't know. It doesn't really make sense.
From the sounds of it, like, it's probably more so I reckon they're interested in new, I guess the new rankings and things like that, like the things that are coming along with it. But still, like, come on, just play it when it's ready. Like, come on, just relax.
And look, like, we are very odd, I think, compared to most people out there. Like, I think we're both quite patient, and even if they said, hey, we're going to delay this indefinitely, it wouldn't bother me. I still play Rocket League. I think it's a fantastic game. It doesn't bother me at all. Whereas, some people just get very antsy when they don't know the answer.
I don't think we're the odd ones. I think we're probably the majority. It's that those outspoken, I guess, idiots. I'm trying to think of a better word, but idiots. Like, to me, like, they're the odd ones out. It's just you don't hear about normal people that are like, just find a wait for when something's been announced.
The silent majority. Yes. I totally agree. I think it's the minority of people that are causing a ruckus, but I think we're also on the other end of the scale of really not caring or really not pushing for it at all. Like, for me, when it comes out, it's like, I don't really care at all.
I mean, I haven't played Rocket League in months at this point, but for people that are deep into it, and it's like their favorite game, they play it every single night. I understand wanting to being excited about it. Just, I mean, it's not far off. It's not like it's going to be next year or something. So,
yeah, and just like some of the changes that they've already flagged, which I think is really exciting. So, one thing that kind of always annoyed me is there's a big Rocket League competition in real life, and then there's like tournaments online, and then there's Rocket Pass, which is like their battle pass. And like, they have the competitive seasons in the game, and they're actually starting to now go, okay, this is a bit of a mess. We're going to start putting everything onto the same timeline, and just sort of the start and finish are all going to be the same. So this wasn't the way it worked. So you'd finish a competitive season, but you'd still be doing Rocket Pass, or like even the recent Rocket Pass is finished, but the competitive season is still going on. It's very weird. So they're going to bring it all together. And, it kind of annoys me why they're doing this, but I get it. From a business point of view, they're actually resetting everything and calling it season 1. And they've kind of called out that anything you got in prior seasons, because it would literally say like season 9 grand champion or things like that. They're going to put something in the game to market that it was like, it's like almost like before free to play and after free to play. Like is going to be the sort of line in the sand. And part of that as well.
It's like BC, and
Yeah,
AD.
exactly. Yeah, it's like
B
BF2P.
B B yeah, BF to P. TP
um,
2P.
and we should
TP.
call out, like, just a reminder to everyone, Psyonix, who's the San Diego studio that made Rocket League, they've been bought out by Epic. So once this does go live, you will not be able to buy Rocket League on Steam. If you have it on Steam, you can still play it through Steam, but you can't buy it on Steam from that point on. Not that I know why. I don't know. I'm not like a crazy person with that kind of stuff. Like, I have games on Epic, Steam. Doesn't bother me, that stuff. So I've obviously bought it on Steam. That's fine. And we all have like a Rocket ID. It's really weird because I've got a Rocket ID on my Steam account and then on my Switch, and it's all going to get converted to Epic Friends. And they're going to consolidate it all. So you can have cross-platform progression, both in, like, Rocket Pass or just the regular stuff that you're doing in the game, which is really, really cool. And they've kind of recognized, hey, there's going to be a bunch of new people coming on board. So they didn't want to just bump everyone up, because the problem is they're going to have so many newcomers. They're going to be just like really easy to beat. They've actually sort of said, okay, we're going to have to introduce a new rank. And that rank is Supersonic Legend, which is a bit of a homage to the first game that they released, Supersonic Rocket Powered Battle Cars, or whatever it was called. And that's above Grand Champion now. And Grand Champion used to only be one level. It was just Grand Champion. Now it's Grand Champion 1, Grand Champion 2, Grand Champion 3. So yeah, there's a bunch of changes. It's going to be interesting. Like, I'm like, again, as Swinny was calling me out, I'm not that good of a gamer. The highest I've ever gotten in Rocket League
You
is
keep
like,
saying that. I was just saying specifically the lost levels. Jeez.
the highest I think I've ever reached is like Diamond or something. So that's just below Champion. How about you, Swinny? I can't remember what level you got to.
Oh, I don't know, probably gold, high gold, or
Okay,
something like that.
a couple of levels below me. Um,
Yeah.
And the other cool thing is, this is really dope, that if you're on PlayStation or Switch, so it's free to play, so you can get the game, and it's also, you don't need Nintendo Switch Online. So for me, this is awesome, because I'm going to be like hitting up some friends that I've been bugging about Rocket League for a while, and now that it's completely free, it's like, hey, why don't you jump in and play it? Because you can just jump on and it's free. So that's really awesome. So yeah, I'm really pumped about these changes for Rocket League. Like, I'm not a hater on this stuff. I think this is going to be awesome. I'm really glad there's going to be a hell of a lot more people playing the game. And you'll probably within 6 months see a lot of the people that just picked it up getting better than me, because I'm not very good at games. So is this going to get you back in the game at all, Swinny?
Nah. Nah, it's I love Rocket League. This doesn't interest me either way, honestly. It's like what I hope it does is just doesn't stop the experience of just loading up and just jumping into a random game.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure it won't, but I just hope that I'm not hit over the head everywhere to buy the Rocket Pass because it's now free to play. I hope that they keep in mind that people purchase this game, so their model of trying to advertise these Rocket Passes should probably still apply, to people that have actually spent money on this game. It wasn't a free to play when we bought it, so.
Yeah, and we actually have mentioned it before, but there is going to be this whole thing about, if you have purchased the game before, and I think it's also, they're going to recognize that even if you downloaded it for free as part of PlayStation Plus when it first launched, that you're going to have a legacy status, and there's going to be a bunch of free items that you get, some skins, some like special things that there's no other way to get them. And they won't be available later in the game either. So just to kind of go, hey, you bought it, and they're gonna have like a special player title as well, which is like established, and then whatever year you first started playing Rocket League. So yeah, no, it's really cool. Like, we both play a lot of Smash, and I feel like, I don't know, maybe some people can do it. I don't have that much time, to be honest, anyway. But I feel like with these kind of games, you can only have like one or two at most of these style of games, like Valorant or League or, Rocket League or Smash. You know what I'm talking about? Like these type of multiplayer games. Don't feel like you can have like
Wait,
five on the go.
Oh wait, I thought you were talking about free to play ones, and then you said Smash. I'm like, wait, what?
No, I'm talking about
um,
online multiplayer games where it's like very heavy, like it's almost like you're just playing the same thing over and over again. But that's kind of part of it. It's like that competitive part of it, you know?
yeah, I think. Well, depending on what kind of game you are as well, and what you're, if you've got a family, obviously, assuming a lot of the people are working full time and things, so that's probably a common thread, except for the people that obviously, unfortunately, during the
But
pandemic let go. Maybe they got more time to play free games, but
no, but I thought even people who have a lot of time just kind of get into one game, like Fortnite, Epic, Destiny, stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like I don't hear a lot about people playing like 3 or 4 of those type of games, like at the same
but it,
time.
but it also depends what are you limited just to console or PC, because a whole bunch of people will also play like the gacha games at the same time. They might be actually doing that stuff while they're actually waiting in a lobby and things. So I
Okay.
guess depending on what kind of gamer you are, like, yeah, it's all I know is I'm finished with this topic.
And I'll circle back at the end of the show. There's a segment just to talk about Rocket Pass, which is the battle pass for Rocket League. And then moving on to the next segment, which is about Monster Hunter World 4. Over to you, Swinny.
Monster Hunter World 4?
I
They've
knew that
skipped.
I'd do that. Every time I see
Okay,
Monster World, I always think of Monster Hunter World. It's like so weird.
okay. So last week, my favorite news story that we
Mm.
covered was the announcement of a remake of Monster World 4. Now I'm following you. Called Wonder Boy Asha in Monster World. And we knew that there was expected to be a trailer coming, because that was announced just before Gamescom, and throughout the weekend they showed this trailer. And it's a 2.5 3D game or whatever. Not 2.5 3D.
2.5 3D
2.5D,
game.
sorry, 2.5D. 2.5D game.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, it looks really rough, like
It looks
very rough.
horrible. It looks so
It's just,
bad.
and you're like thinking, okay, wait,
It looks so bad.
why, like, if the game was so unfinished, first of all, why put this trailer out? But if that's actually what it's going to end up looking like on release, because this game is being released next year, like early next year,
Q1, yeah, next year.
man, it just makes me think, Simpsons, when you've got Ralph and they like pause the video, you can pinpoint the second when his heart rips in half.
Yeah. That's
That
with
was me
Lisa.
watching this. This was me watching this trailer. I was like, the biggest smile on my face, and then just, oh my god. Because the thing is, right? I don't think unless you really do not like pixel graphics, 2D pixel, then if if you showed gameplay of the original Mega Drive game and this one, I don't think anyone would say that the new one looks
No,
better.
dude. So, okay, 2 things. Number one, I was actually shocked, man. I feel like I'm broken as a person. I actually was watching this and I actually felt bad for you. Like, I didn't think, oh, this is funny because you were really looking forward to this. This is hilarious. I actually felt bad for you. I was like, oh, man, I'm bummed for Swinny, man. He's like pumped for this game. He's like looking forward to it. He's going to play it. And I'm like, this looks like dog shit. This game looks horrible. It looks
Oh,
like
it looks
it looks like a fan project that's like a bad fan project, like that they've
and
done for like half a year. And and
if
the
you
second
didn't,
point
if
is just quickly, you said if they put footage in the trailer side by side of the 2D game and then this game, and the 2D game looks so much better. What are you doing?
yes,
You did that. That's our own goal. It's like, what are you doing?
and
Oh,
this right. If you've never played Monster World 4, which a lot of people wouldn't have, you
yeah.
probably wouldn't know, because it's not talked about a lot, that it is a great game. So if the game still controls the exact same, it's still probably going to be a good game, just looks like absolute crap. But it also looks like it doesn't play very well. Like, just from looking at it, doesn't look like it has like a good movement to the character or anything.
Yes.
And then you just think, man, like what it could have been if the developers of the Dragon's Trap remake or
Mm.
the Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom had worked on this game, then you'd have this glorious like hand-drawn 2D art style with, remake of this game that is probably, as I said before, it's probably my favorite Mega Drive game that I've ever played.
Mm.
Man,
It's odd.
it's
It's
such a
baffling.
what changed in that week? Like, it's like, oh my god!
The
Like,
highs and
I was
lows.
so pumped for this. Like, I put together, like, to make sure we got the timeline of the games
Yeah.
right and
Yeah,
everything.
yeah, that was
And
cool.
then this dog shit trailer, freaking Wonder Boy Asher in dog shit world is what it probably should be called.
You put more time in prepping last week than they have in this trailer. That's a bit harsh, but it's like this is
Oh
such an
man,
own goal. This trailer, like we were chatting about Suicide Squad last week, and I know that that's coming out in 2022. To be fair, but there's a lot of games that are coming out this year that we still don't have gameplay footage of. Just like trailers and just hype building trailers. I don't know who's leading this team or the publisher. Like, surely, I don't know, man. My initial reaction when I saw this, I was like, wow, this is bad, dude. This is almost like so bad. It's like, is this a troll? Like, are they having people on? And then like
oh
a
yeah,
real trailer's coming out the next day or something. It's weird, man.
Windscape looked better than this, and I already talked about how bad that game was. The
Like, are
what
you going to get
you,
this game? Like, it can't get much better than this. Surely it can't get that much better than this.
No, I'll probably still actually play it. Yeah, because I love the original so much. It's almost out of like even if it turns out that it is actually not good, it there's that morbid curiosity part, of me that'll be like, I need to experience this. But how there's so many videos out there of people reacting to trailers and things. I haven't done it yet, but I want to watch trailer reactions to
Oh,
this if
yeah.
there's anyone has, because you just like that moment where my heart break. I just want to see other people being like, "Wait, what? Wait,
Damn, I kind
that's
of
what
wish
it looks
that
like."
I wish that you filmed a reaction video to it.
Jesus,
It would have been way more entertaining than the actual game and the trailer. It's just it's very strange, man. Like because we did speak about it last week, not the reaction, but it like they've made so many good remakes recently in this kind of bigger series. And this is just like, those remakes are like almost 10 out of 10 remakes.
and I just
And this is just such a fail,
speechless.
like from what I've seen so far.
And there's
It
just
looks
so
worse.
much. This,
Okay. Do you remember this? Bloodstained. It looks worse than the Switch version of Bloodstained when that launched. But this is
oh well, I
like,
don't know. I don't know what that looked like, but I'm
oh, that
going
was
to
bad.
assume it looked way
That was
better than this.
No, that was pretty bad, dude. Like they had to issue refunds for people. It was so bad, but this looks worse than that. And this is kind of advertising the best version of the game, theoretically. It looks like they're advertising the worst version of the game, like the mobile version of it or something. It's very
It
odd,
seriously
man.
looks like, and it's not that it just looks bad. It looks like it was made in like early 2000s.
Yeah, it's
Like the
very
actual
weird.
textures are like just like the brick textures are just flat bricks that look like they were out of Quake almost. Quake looked better than this game. Like
Yeah,
it's crazy.
it's really weird because, like, again, I can't get over the fact that they show the original game to the left and this remake, and the original game just looks so much better. And you can actually see the animation. The animation in the original is just, it's good. It's like fluid. It has
Yeah,
dynamism, and
and
the
it's
animation
got
in this is
character
just
to it.
so wooden. It's just like they've taken a leg and they've got another keyframe and there's just averaged it out. You know what I mean? It's like the leg is going to move into that position on a sort of monotonic scale. It's just done. It's just weird. Oh,
And
strange one. I
I'm
can't believe you're going to get
I'm
this game. You're not going to buy it, are you? Seriously?
No, well, I'll see. I'll wait to see kind of how the game progresses because they may fix stuff up based on the reception. But
But it can't be
I'm
good. This game is doomed now. It can be average
but
at best.
the original game was still so good that I'm still interested in trying it out.
I get that though. Actually, like if you took one of my favorite games of all time, maybe my favorite game, Super Metroid, and you made you got these people to make a remake for Super
Oh
Metroid.
shit! Oh
Now,
my! Imagine the backlash. Oh my god!
I have to say, like, maybe it's still a good game. Like, it's super wooden, but Metroid. just the game. And, this game's a bit like it as well. Like the map and everything in it and how it builds up. It's kind of half of the charm of the game. So, yeah, I'm actually now fascinated. I'm almost willing to chip in to help get you this game just to
Like,
get your reaction for it.
just imagine this: you're the developer, and you pitch yourself to often publishers and things based on the previous work you've done. Imagine a publisher seeing a developer's work or their pitch deck or their portfolio or whatever, that they've remade this game that looks like gorgeous 2D, classic pixel art to
Yeah.
this monstrous, horrible outdated 3D. Like, I can't think of anything worse that a publisher would look at, seeing kind of what you've done there. And I really hope they turn this around. Like, I really hope that they go, this is already a very niche remake. And when the people that are, your true target audience are just shitting all over it, surely you're going to have to stop and think and go, wait, we need to do something about this. So I hope they turn it around. They haven't got that long to do it, but you never know. Maybe they could even say, we're going to retool this and delay. But yeah, it's so bad.
Or, or maybe make a remake of the game and then have an even more obscure title for it.
What,
Yeah, look, I
a
don't want to
remake
shit
of the
all over.
remake?
Yeah, I don't want to shit all over the developers because, oftentimes it's like they don't have enough budget or time, or maybe they're looking at it and going, "Geez, like this is not like to the level that they're even happy with." You know what I mean?
Oh, I'm going to shit all over him because anybody, like, if you're the head of this studio, why would you give your okay for this trailer footage to be
That's the
released?
part that doesn't make sense to me. Like, unless they're sort of like, because this does happen in business where people go, you know what, this is gonna like blow up if we put this out. But I don't think this game has enough of a following that people will actually blow up about it. Like, you're
I
probably
mean,
one of the biggest people on the internet that's blowing up on it at the moment.
these developers, Studio Art Dink, they've been around since late 80s, right? So they're not new to this, and they're most famous for the A-Train simulation games, right?
Mm.
But I mean, just looking, they've worked on a lot of titles. A lot of them seem to be ports and things, but they've worked on a lot of games. And a lot of games that I recognize that look way better than this game. So I just don't understand what's happened here. I really don't understand. It's like they gave the wrong footage to the marketing person to put this bloody trailer together.
Like, the thing that just baffles me from the start, and you see it straight away, is the walk cycle is so bad. Like, the initial walk cycle, it's like the first thing that you want to get right in a game like this. And it just looks so wooden and clunky and very 90s, or like worse than 90s. Like, I don't know. Like, I was watching that and going, actually, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of like 64, when PlayStation 64, when the first game started coming out in 3D and they didn't know how to like animate it as well as they do now, obviously. And it looks very like wooden and weird. Like, that's what it looks like to me. It's just like, oh God, this is rough. Like, from the first moment you see it. So, oh God, I'm worried about this game. I think it's doomed. So yeah, it's coming out early next year. So I guess we'll see how it goes when you play it through and beat it. Maybe one of the few people that reviews it online. And then moving to another game that we spoke about last week. So Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. So we did sort of give a PSA last week saying, don't buy this game if you're in Australia or New Zealand. And it seems like Square Enix agrees with us. So they actually issued a statement on Twitter, and I won't read through it all, but basically they've just said that, they've sort of heard people give the feedback around the game and the issues that the game has, that they're investigating it. And in the interim, they're actually suspending the sale of the game until they update it. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. Like, and I guess part of it as well is Australia has very strong consumer laws. So I think like this game, you could easily get a refund even if you bought it digitally in Australia, because effectively it doesn't work in its core functionality of being an online co-op game. So yeah, no,
I gotta
interesting.
I gotta say, obviously, it was horrible for them to have not kind of. It was probably an oversight more than them, or maybe just not actually being able to test what someone's experience is like in Australia. Actually, attempting to connect to these servers, maybe they just don't have the ability to even test that. But good on them at least for taking it down until they can resolve it.
Yeah.
Whether or not means it'll ever actually get put up again or not. That's always a possibility. I've actually run into that before, where games have been taken down from sale because of like copyright issues with licensed music, and
Yeah.
like a month after they were put up, and they never came back down. So there's literally, for instance, RPGs on the Xbox One that I can never actually even play because they've just been taken down. But it's good on them for at least doing that, so it's not going to hurt more people on that.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's just like the thing that annoys me is that the technology around distributing, a server and then instantiating servers, like in different regions, it's so streamlined these days. Like to a point where, even our website for bigwigpod.com, so Big Week in Gaming's website, I've set it up, and this is just an individual. I've set it up so that basically it has a CDN, so a content distribution network across the entire world. So if you're in like Europe, you'll get a version of our website that's from a European server. So it's like our website is like so quick, right? I'm just one guy doing that. Like it is not hard for these companies to set up reasonable servers in major areas. And for me it's like at least, Southeast Asia, you have to have something. And then you've got Asia, Europe, and in America, North America, and they're the main sort of regions that will have most activity. Like it annoys me when people were going really crazy about this with Fortnite, because Fortnite didn't have good servers in Southeast Asia for a long period of time, to the point where people were like protesting and going nuts about it. So it's just strange to me that this is still a problem, but I agree. I'm glad that they finally listened. There's a lot of times where Square Enix hasn't done this with online games, and though I do think that they will never get around to fixing it. So, like, I think the smart money would be get a refund on this game rather than just keep it on there as a kind of like a interesting kind of token that you have on there. Because I don't reckon they're going to fix it personally, especially
Yeah,
in this whole COVID
unless you
era.
want to play it local co-op. Oh wait, you can't.
And that's kind of the thing, right? It's like the fact that they made a decision about that, and then what, they're going to go off and do a bunch of work to get it working in Australia and New Zealand. Like, I mean, it's only 2% of the world's kind of economic activity, Australia and New Zealand. It's not worth it. So, I mean, they should have done it from the start, let's be clear, but like, it's not that big of a deal for them. So I just,
I mean,
personally can't
they
see it
could
happening.
just have a go to like one of an Asia server, and that may be sufficient. So it depends on what other servers have got available. They just probably, as you said, they've lumped us in with the power regions and just kind of
Which is
just
so
done that.
dumb.
But yeah.
It's like, it's actually the worst region that we can be linked to, because just doing a lot of testing and these kind of things, because it's literally on the other side of the world for us. So yeah, and there's a lot of things crossing in to go to Europe from an internet point of view. So yeah, it's the worst region that we could get linked into. But yeah, no, like you said, it's good that they've responded, and I guess we'll just see eventually if they ever bring it back. And even let's dream that they bring local co-op, and sort of change their mind on that, given how critical it is to that game. And let's get into my favorite segment, the bargain bin. And I'll kick it off with Epic Game Store. They're always giving at the Epic Game Store on a weekly basis. So Into the Breach is this week's free game. I already had it. It was part of one of the promotions previously. I think I've missed out on one single game on Epic, which is Shadow Complex Remastered, which is one game I definitely want to play and get. And then I'll just call out, because I always get attacked for bringing this up, but the game 3 out of 10. So it's an episodic game. There's 5 episodes total. They're all free at the moment. So you can just jump on and sort of, download them into your inventory. And next week
So,
will be Railway Empire. And
sorry,
then
I gotta talk about that game again. Sorry,
okay, go on.
and then
Go
you
on.
get to next week. So this is the 8th episode of the Big Week podcast. I wonder how many of our episodes we've actually mentioned that 3 out of 10 game. Has it actually been half of them at this point?
Or I can tell you, we mentioned it for episode one. No, not episode, but I'm saying episode of 3 out of 10. 1, 2, 3. And then you made the comment, why do I keep on talking about this game? So then I decided to pull it together, because I knew there's only going to be 5. So half of our podcast, we've talked about this game 3 out of 10 that we have no interest in playing. And I
Well,
actually checked the reviews on it just because I was like, is this a good game? Because then I can use that against you. And it wasn't a good game. So I was like, shit, I'll bury that then. I won't even mention it.
well, I hope there's some people out there enjoying their free 3 out of 10.
Well, it has been downloaded. I think it was like 2 to 3 million times. 3 out of 10. So there you go. And then finally, yeah, next week's games, Railway Empire and Where the Water Tastes Like Wine. So that covers us for Epic. I should say, actually, and I didn't put this in the show notes, so I'm doing this live. So with Ubisoft, up to, it's, I think, Tuesday next week. So you'd need to jump on this quick. So there's 2 games that are free at the moment. The first one, the easiest to get, is if you have Uplay on your PC, you can get The Division for free. And then it's not too hard to find this. We probably won't include how to do it. But if you Google Far Cry 3, you can actually get Far Cry 3 for free as well on PC on Uplay. Basically, it's free in the Chinese region, and it's actually very easy to log into Uplay and just kind of like download it for free. So I've got that as well. So if you're keen to play Far Cry 3, it's pretty easy to do that as well.
So that means you can get free Far Cry 3 and free 3 out of 10. There we go.
yes, you can indeed. Nice little alliteration there. Excellent.
So on to, I guess, I went through the Switch and the PlayStation stores and kind of just picked out some highlights of the sales they've got going on, because it feels like we haven't talked a lot about specifically PlayStation as well in the last couple of weeks. But on the Switch, there's some highlights for me. Is Donut County, that fun puzzle game where I think you're a raccoon controlling a hole. That's 70% off at the moment. Ashen, which is a really, really cool game, is 50% off. I actually used to work with the narrative designer of Ashen, and just kind of, got a real cool insight into how that game's story was put together. So
wait.
really, really cool game.
What do you mean? I got to interrupt here. You used to work with the narrative designer of this game?
Yes, correct.
Oh, that's sick.
That's what I said.
That's really cool. Sorry to interrupt. It's kind of an interesting thing.
All right, let me actually explain. So, this person had been working at my old work for a while, right? And we were on our Christmas party, like bus trip. We're going to like Yarra Valley here in Victoria for a Christmas party. And I just heard her telling someone else, have you heard of Ashen? Yeah, I worked on that game. I was the narrative lead designer, and I'm like, my head probably flipped around like a triple take. Like, what? Suddenly
like
that
the
point,
Exorcist.
and because the person she was talking to is a great guy, but he had no idea what she was talking about. I'm like, I got to get on in this conversation.
To be fair, Ashen is not like that well known of a game, even if you're into gaming.
Ashen, no, it got a lot of buzz when it came out. It was a big, no joke, because it was very well featured on E3 presentations and Xbox and stuff. So it actually, before it came out, it actually had a lot of press about it. So it's not like some small indie title.
We need a bigger audience for no other reason than we can use them as fodder against each other. So then I can put polls up. Ashen, is that a game that most people know? Yes or no?
No, Ashen got a lot of buzz around the time, but
Okay.
But what I'll 100% admit that once it came out, I think it kind of people had forgotten about it by that point. But before it was actually pretty well hyped game, and it's Anyway, that's Ashen.
That's pretty
50%
cool.
off.
There's narrative designer. Okay, that's pretty cool.
What Remains of Edith Finch, which I've played through, which is a really, really cool, I guess, I wouldn't call it walking simulator. It's kind of, that does it a big disjustice or injustice or whatever I should say.
Disservice?
Disservice. I combined injustice and disservice to disjustice. That's great. So that's 60% off at the moment. South Park Fractured But Whole, the sequel.
Oh, so good.
Is 75% off. That is awesome as well.
Do you remember when I didn't know the pun of that name?
Yeah.
For such a long time, until I read it out to you, and I was like, "Oh, now I get it."
And I wrote anime here. It's Anima Gate of Memories Arcane Edition is 60% off. So I actually really like the anima games. There's Nameless Chronicles, and I think the sequel to it, which I can't remember the exact name now. They're really, really cool action RPGs. So I think they're kind of, nobody you talk about games that not many people know about. The anime games are that. So really, really cool. So some other highlights from the Essential Pick sale for PlayStation. So up until September 16th, apparently, these. So first is Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition, 70% off. Anyone that has any that likes RPGs in any way, play Tales of Vesperia. It is probably the second best JRPG I've ever played. So
Really?
it is
Wow.
easily. I
Really?
love Tales of Vesperia.
Huh.
Oh yeah, no joke. It's one of my top 10 games of all time. It
Wow,
is
I
that
didn't know
good.
that. Huh. Okay.
So anyone that it's on all platforms now, and so pick it up. Assassin's Creed Odyssey 75% off, which is great because that game is so long and has so much content that's really good value.
Mm.
Dragon Ball Fighter Z is 85% off, so it's a huge discount.
Isn't it pronounced fighters?
Yeah, I say Fighter Z because I don't want to say
Okay.
fighters.
I pronounce it Fighter Z because I don't want to pronounce it the way that they wanted me to.
It's an Arc Systems fighting game, Marvel style.
Yeah.
Sleeping
That's cool.
Dogs, which is awesome, is 85% off. And I also noticed when I was on the PlayStation Store that the Anime Girls Dynamic Themes Bundle 1 is 33% off, which means it's $9.
It's terrible. I just saw the anime thing and I could see what's in your head in our notes. Anime Girls and then Anime Gate of Memory.
Yeah, I wrote the Anime Girls before I wrote the Anime Gate of Memories. So
you had Anime Girls on your mind.
I just love that buying those weird themes is still a thing on the PlayStation Store. That was a thing on the 360 store for a while, but that's gone. We're gone now.
Okay.
I just love that it's still in the PlayStation world, these weird themes. So
yeah, I hate having to buy themes. It just bothers me. So I do add them when they're free, though.
Well, what's cool about Xbox One these days is, unless they've changed it recently, any achievement that you unlock comes with a graphic, and you can set that as your background in Xbox.
Okay.
So essentially, any Xbox
cool.
One achievement I've unlocked, I can go through in the physical background and set it that.
Nice.
Talking about Xbox, 8 more games have been added to Game Pass. Some available now. So the ones available now are Jackbox Party Pack 4. It's the only one I haven't played, but it has got Fibbage in it, or at least a version of Fibbage, so that's in the other ones as well. So that's awesome value for being stuck at home with family and that, being in Game Pass. Tell Me Why Chapter 2 is available now on Xbox and PC. Toho Lunar Nights is available on Xbox and PC as well, and World War Z is now available just on PC. Coming on September the 8th is Star Renegades, which is on PC. That's actually pretty cool. I'm actually going to play that. It's a turn-based RPG. And it's the interesting part of this, we talked about it before, some of these games on PC have achievement lists and some don't. So that actually does have one. So I'm definitely going to check that out because, I'm compulsive. But it does look really pretty compulsive. Cool. It does look pretty cool anyway. Coming on September the 10th, the third and last chapter of Tell Me Why, apparently, or at least for Season 1, is available on Xbox and PC. On that note, I didn't get around to it this week. I'm probably going to play through the first chapter of Tell Me Why, and maybe I'll just kind of talk about it on next week's show and just give my thoughts about that. Also, on September 10th, really cool, is Disgaea 4, or Disgaea, I should say, Complete Plus on PC. That does not have achievements, so I'll check it out, but if I don't like it, I probably won't stick with it. And lastly, on the 15th, Hotshot Racing is available on PC Game Pass. But just as some games are being added, some are being removed as, the cycle goes on. So 3 games are leaving. We're not sure the dates yet, but some have said that it's probably going to be on the 15th of September, so jump onto these right away if you want to play them. First is a big one, Batman Arkham Knight for Xbox. Then we've got Jump Force for Xbox. So we talked about Jump Force last week with the, deluxe edition that they announced for the Switch. So the original Jump Force is leaving Game Pass on Xbox. And Gona, which I don't know nothing about, is leaving Xbox and PC Game Pass. And just a quick PSA. So Indivisible, which is an awesome RPG from Lab Zero Games, the makers of Skullgirls. Both Indivisible is available on PC and Xbox in Game Pass at the moment. However, this week there was news that they're essentially shutting down because they've let go of all their staff after all these
No.
problems that I'm not going to get into. That's kind of involving, I guess, the founder or the head of the studio. So the fact that those games are in Game Pass, I'd say, and that game, both versions, if you're interested in playing Divisible, I'd probably jump onto it now because we don't know what's going to happen to that game.
Could just
Indivisible is
disappear or
actually,
something.
yeah, Indivisible. Well, it's more that it's more the problem of what happens after it leaves Game Pass. Will it still remain up for sale or how long or whatever? Indivisible is actually a really, really good game. So it's not just a PSA about some random game. It's a PSA about a game that potentially could be at risk if the developer shuts down. So
Yeah, and it's a shame about Batman Arkham Knight just given all the Rocksteady and WB Montreal announcements because and dumb question, but I mean the way it would work, right, is if you're almost at the end of the game, or like you're like, hey, maybe I'll go play Arkham Knight, all these announcements kind of made me think about the game. If you're almost near the end or halfway through, once it hits that date, whenever it is, say 15th of September, it just disappears, right? Like you can't play it.
it just shows up saying that you essentially don't own
Access
the
to it.
game. So,
Ah.
I mean, but that's just the nature of it's a subscription
Yeah.
service. So yeah.
No, fair enough. Fair enough. All right, great. And we'll move into the final segment of today, and it's really just you know my thoughts on Rocket Pass because we did speak about this the other week and just how I was sort of frantically trying to get through all the challenges for Rocket Pass 6. So just the context is I think you had Rocket Pass 1, which is a bit rough the way that they all structured it, and from memory you didn't really like the way that they structured it, and they did respond and change how difficult or easy it was to sort of get through all the challenges and get the keys back and all that kind of stuff. And
It
I've
was.
joined.
I'll just
Yeah, go on.
say on that front, yeah, it was just. I don't know exactly what it turned out to be, but it felt like I was having to play at least 10 games a night to kind of to potentially get to the end of it, which is honestly absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, and look. So the timing of when you did it was crazy, and essentially it was like halved to about a third from that Rocket Pass onwards in terms of what you needed to do to complete everything. And again, just I guess not everyone would be across it, but often with these battle pass, the way that they structure them is you pay a certain amount of money to get the BS currency that they've created in game. So in this case, keys. So it's 10 keys, $10 Australian or thereabouts to get Rocket Pass. And if you complete enough of the challenges, you actually get 10 keys back. So you can kind of, roll them over. And that's what I've been doing since Rocket Pass 2. So Rocket Pass 2, 3, 4, 5. And then, life got a lot busier. Rocket Pass 6, it was the longest Rocket Pass. It's probably the easiest one to get. So I probably only need to play like one game a night. And I would have easily gotten it all. And as I said the other week, I was kind of frantically trying to get through it. And I got, I don't know, 6 or 7 keys or whatever. And I probably could easily get more keys just by selling stuff. And then the Rocket Pass ended, as they said it would. And yeah, I've got no Rocket Pass and I didn't get all the keys back. So I'd have to basically dip in again to get Rocket Pass. And, for me, just the context, I've played Rocket League. You got me into Rocket League, actually, so I should thank you. I just checked how long I played it in Steam, and then I know how much I played it in Switch. So it's 600 hours that I played this game. So I was kind of
That's
surprised. I
crazy.
was like, "Whoa, okay, I'm fully into this game," and I'm not that good at it or anything like that. I just really, really enjoy how pure and technical and fair, in a way, the game is. Like for me, I can't really even think of a game that's kind of fairer. Everyone relatively has the same type of equipment, or you can easily just choose the equipment that they have, and it's just your skill and strategy. And I think that's the thing I like about it most. I normally play threes, and there's a lot of twos as well. And I'm certainly better on the strategy side. My technical skill, like mechanics, are so bad that I actually had to turn off team chat because people would just blast me. Like they're like, "How are you at like diamond level? This is insane. You're so bad at this game." And it's because like there's an open shot and I'll like miss it because I'm just not that good at the game from a technical point of view, if that makes any sense. I'm just like, I can think about the game and like where I should put myself and what the other team's doing and all that kind of stuff. So it's really 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 cool game. And I actually played a few games after the Rocket Pass has ended. So the Rocket Pass, there's a bunch of challenges. You have to jump into different modes, wear different skins and outfits and toppers and all this kind of stuff. And I was playing it, and I won't play a clip from this band because they're like the most copyright striking band in existence. But you know, I played a few games, and I instantly thought about the Queen song, and I was just like, I want to be free, because like I
Break
played,
free, break
yeah, I
free,
want to
break.
break free. I played a few games, and I was like, man, I'm enjoying this game so much more without Rocket Pass. And it made me realize, like, because I haven't been playing Rocket League as much, and part of it is, my life's super busy, but the other part is we're playing Smash a lot, Smash Ultimate. But I was actually realizing the Rocket Pass is actually really just kind of annoying me, if anything, because I do get like very perfectionist slash completionist mentality. And I found myself playing a lot of modes that I don't ever choose to play. Like, I really don't like Rumble at all, that extra mode where it's, you have powers and things like that and it randomizes it. Like, do not enjoy that at all. I really like, Snow Day, Hoops, not too much, but a bit. And then, what's the other one? Drop Shot. Like, I don't mind those ones,
I,
but I don't
I like
normally
Drop
want to
Shot.
play
Drop Shot's
those.
fun.
Yeah, Drop Shot's really good. So I don't mind them, but I generally don't want to play them that often. But with the Rocket Pass, it's like, play this many games in this mode or get this many MVPs. And I sort of just found myself like I had to actually, you know, play those modes night after night to actually get through. Because, not that I needed to, but I felt compelled to, because it's like, oh, I won't progress through unless I do this. And then yeah, like, so once the Rocket Pass ended, and I was like, and because I'm so frugal, I was going to say cheap, I was like, oh, I'm not going to pay more money for this. This is crazy. I actually was like, oh, I'm not going to get Rocket Pass then. And I actually felt more compelled to play the game. Like, I've actually been dipping in the game a lot more recently, because I was actually like, oh, hey, I want to jump in and, just play a few games. But before I was like, oh, it felt almost like a job, if that makes sense.
Oh, 100%. It at some point when it starts to feel like a chore just because you need to hit some arbitrary kind of,
Mm,
goals, you got to think, what are you playing this game for? And I'm, of course, a good case study to look at for playing games or doing things for reasons other than just for fun. Like,
yeah,
we've gone into my achievement kind of stuff. And there's times when, I had to also step back when I was doing that for every game and I was
yeah,
doing, boosting sessions, and I'm thinking, why am I doing this? I'm not enjoying, like, there's parts where it's fun, but then you're like, I don't care about completing the random multiplayer mode of some James Bond game just because I feel the compulsive need to tick this off and complete it. And I did have that moment, and I think it's kind of similar where as soon as you step away and you make the decision to, look, I don't care anymore about that. Of course, I still care about RPGs, but I when I stopped for doing it for everything, it was the same. It was cathartic.
yeah. Yeah, and then the funniest part of it all was I actually looked back, because I've got so many items, because I've had Rocket Pass 2 to all the way to Rocket Pass 6, and completed all the 2 to 5 ones and most of the 6. I actually don't even like the decals, the toppers, all the stuff that I got through the Rocket Pass. The funny thing is, the I have a pretty vanilla car. Like, I just have an Octane. I have like this pearlescent, metallic finish. And the weird thing is, like, the gold explosion that I have is not even from Rocket Pass. It's actually because I have an Amazon Prime subscription and they give benefits for that. And the one weird benefit was this like tactical nuke explosion, and it just looks insane and people haven't seen it very much. So I was like, I've got this thing and I don't even use it and I don't even like it. And it's actually negatively impacting the game that I love so much. And this whole thing of like not getting through it, and I honestly reckon a big part of the reason why I stopped playing Rocket League, because I felt like it was a chore. I was like, I was so compelled to complete it, and I wasn't enjoying the game anymore. And now that I'm just like mentally gone, I'm done with that. And, yes, they've introduced a hell of a lot of changes, like in Rocket Pass, or whenever they release Rocket Pass 7, they've already said that they're changing a bunch of stuff. I'm just not interested in it. I'm kind of just going, nah, like that's it. Like I'm playing the game, just the vanilla version of the game, and I get to play my competitive like 2s and 3s. And yeah, I'm kind of pumped for it actually. Like it's kind of renewed my love for the game, like getting past Rocket Pass. And to be perfectly honest, it's not like I spent a lot of money in it. I'm happy to give money to Psyonix, but I'm kind of like thinking I kind of not regret, but I just didn't need Rocket Pass from the start.
Yeah, I find it interesting because I'm in two minds about the whole Battle Pass thing, because it's essentially a Battle Pass. Where we were in the world where you had random loot boxes, and that was essentially the monetization strategy for free-to-play games and some full retail games. And now that's moved towards whether or not it's because of consumer backlash or industry backlash or both, and obviously,
Well, I think the threat of regulation, that's real.
Yeah, definitely. And it's kind of now we've moved towards this new battle pass model for a lot of these games. But then, yeah, like I definitely think it's an improvement, especially when you start talking about the predatory, I guess, concept of random loot boxes in general. And I mean that stuff still exists in like the FIFA Ultimate Team and all that.
Oh
So
yeah.
it's not like we got away from that, but it it does then start to say, well, it's kind of like the lesser of two evils, because I'm sure that some of the battle passes in these games, especially free to play ones, will end up being actually quite worth it. But as you said, it's when you start just kind of playing it just to fulfill this stuff because you feel like, it's a bit of FOMO. It's a bit of like, okay, I haven't completed this. I'm missing out on something that other people are going to have. And you've only got a certain amount of time to do it, because when it runs out, that's it. It's gone forever. You can never get
Yeah.
those crappy little decals. When I remember when I bought Rocket Pass, and this is on me, like I didn't realize you had a limited amount of time to get it as well. I just
Yeah.
thought it's just something you just work through. But I guess they need to do that because they need to, they want people to keep playing, and they want to be able to sell people in the next one, or at least get people so invested that they've put in the time to then unlock the next one. So I understand it from a design and business standpoint, but yeah, it's hard because I don't want us to ever go back to that kind of loot box model. And this is they needed to replace it with something because they need to make their money, especially for the free to play games.
Yeah, and look, I love Rocket League. Like, and I think I've said to you, it might be my favorite game of all time, which is like saying something. But you know, I do see the challenge that they have, which is how do they make money on this game? Because it's not like Fortnite or other games like it, where Destiny 2 is a good example. They can release DLC to that, where it's like new worlds or new experiences, and that's kind of like it makes sense for the whole community to jump on it and move on. And I even remember back in the day when we were playing, like this is way back in the day, like Halo 3, when they started to release like DLC maps for that game. Like, and that was some of the sort of first steps towards that kind of stuff. Like, that makes sense to me, right? But with Rocket League, yes, there's, skins for the car, and people are generally like really into that. But just for the average punter, it's a bit like, you're not offering new experiences. And, I really think outside of the box here, like I kind of wish, and, you're going to laugh me down for this, right? And there are mods that do similar things to this. I kind of wish that they had like a single player or a first, like a standalone non-multiplayer experience for Rocket League, like where I
What do you
could
mean
use
I'd
like the
laugh you down? I think I've said this to you before multiple times.
yeah, oh yeah, maybe yeah, no, fair enough. No, you did
Especially
say
on the
that. You
Switch,
did say that.
especially on the Switch, if you don't have internet access,
Yeah,
then it's like, well, all I can do is just play these random games against bots because their season is just literally games against bots. There's nothing there outside of that. So
yeah, and like I'm like thinking really out there. Like I'm like I want it so, and like I think you got to lean into the campiness of what I'm saying to make it
I
fun.
know
But
where you're going. I know where you're going, or at
like
least
I want to I want to fight bosses and stuff like that, and have to be able to like deflect things and
Yep.
knock things into them, with balls and all this other
You
kind of stuff.
you want Diddy Kong Racing? That's what you want.
Hey, I love Diddy Kong Racing so much. I 100% of that game, and now I only found out after the fact. And we've called this out the whole episode how I'm not a very good gamer. That game wasn't as easy as a lot of people think it is. And there's
Oh,
people
Diddy
like,
Kong Racing is hard as balls.
yeah. And people are like, oh, you can't beat the pig and all that. I'm like, dude, I've beaten the pig, man. I was like, when I beat that damn pig at the end of that game, I was like, yeah, that was not easy.
Whiz Pig is an absolute bastard of a boss.
Yeah, you have to like be near perfect. You have to execute every turn and everything like that. I love those type of games. But, I would love if Psyonix went in that direction. And, I still hope, I don't think they will, but I really hope that with all the money that they've got with Epic and the money that they'll get with the free-to-play stuff, because Fortnite has done this, where Fortnite is like split off from its standard Battle Royale experience, which, by the way, was a sort of side part of that game originally, like to do new experiences and challenges and almost platforming stuff. Like I kind of, secretly, I just like, man, if they did that and they had that as DLC that you paid extra for and they sort of did that on a seasonal basis, I'd be all for that. I'd be
Man,
all in on that.
you could do awesome obstacle courses or like
Yeah.
stunt racing, but combine that with having to fly through rings with the aerial movement. You could do so many cool things as
Yeah.
single player experiences in the game.
So the community's already done that. So there's mods on PC where you can. It's mostly for practice and training, but people have done like really cool like mini games in it, and I'll be all for that. Like because the core of the game is so cool and it's so technical and tight that I feel like just putting that into different scenarios and different worlds would just be awesome. And it to me is super campy and super fun. It's like taking yourself too seriously, but not. So like I hope that's the direction they go. I'm not going to go into Rocket Pass again. I'm done with Rocket Pass. I not regret, because I don't really regret anything in life, but I just think like it took away from the game, which is not what you'd want, right? And it probably shows how much I love the game. Then I kept on playing it all through Rocket Pass, but I'm actually so happy now that I've dumped Rocket Pass and I can sort of just jump on the game from time to time and play it that way.
I am very happy for you.
Cool. All right, well, that wraps us up for this week's episode. As always, like if you really want to help us out and grow our tiny little community, make sure you tell people about it. And the best thing would be give us a 5-star review or a thumbs up on whatever podcast service you listen to us on. But with that said, bye-bye.
See ya.